All right, guys, this is the last video lecture for Chapter 9. We're doing the corporate valuation model. So another model, another method to figure out what the value of the firm is now. We'd use this if they don't pay dividends, or even if they did. It's just another way to try to figure out what the firm is worth and what their current stock price should be compared to what it actually is. This is another way to do that. So corporate valuation model. And we're going to look at the firm's free cash flows. Remember from early on in the semester when we calculated free cash flow, we're talking about the leftover cash the firm generates that could be pulled out without harming their operations. So it's left over for them to disperse to shareholders, to reinvest in the firm, to pay off debts, whatever they want to do with that money. Think back to the financial markets, money going to the firm, they invest in cool things, generate profits and a return, and then cash flows go all different places. This is that leftover amount. So you're not going to have to solve free cash flow here. I've already done that. It will be given. So I'm going to give you a few years of free cash flow. We'll use that information to then discount it back and figure out what the firm is worth today. So if our free cash flow in year one, let's say, is $10 million. In year two, let's say 20 million. Year three, 25 million. We're going to discount this back or require a return of 10%. And then we'll say after this 25 million in year three, we'll have an ongoing growth rate of 3%. So all of this is estimated. That's really the hard part. That's beyond the scope of this class. Later on in finance, you'll do this more and forecast what this free cash flow would be. All right, so once we get past year three and we have these constants that we're working with, then we can figure out into the future what this firm is worth from year three all the way on, okay? So we'll get to that part first. Here's today. Nothing's happening here. A year from now, we've got a free cash flow of 10 million. Year two, 20 million. Year three, 25. And then from here, our growth rate now is going to equal 3% forever. So each year that free cash flow is going to grow by 3% moving forward. All right, so then we need to discount each of these cash flows back to today. Figure out what each one of those is worth now, and add all of these up. We'll do what's called, from here on, to figure out what the firm is worth forever going forward, we're going to calculate terminal value. So terminal value is given some horizon or some date in the future. From then until forever, with a constant growth rate, we'll use that dividend model, just like you calculated already, and figure out what it's worth there, since it's a constant growth. We'll add this amount to year three and discount it back together. Okay, so terminal value is going to be your free cash flow of this year plus 1. So n plus 1 over r minus g. Okay, so that should look familiar. Remember, we had our dividend, not this current dividend, but the next year, the same thing here. That free cash flow the next year. We could use this same 25 or use 25 times 1 plus our growth rate. All right, we'll work through it. But that's going to give us our terminal value, add it to year three, discount all of them back. Okay, so for terminal value here, 25 million times 1 plus our growth, constant growth of 3%. Okay, Now, once you plug that in and solve, you're going to get a really big number. I got 367.8571 million. All right, give or take, rounding a little bit. So these are all in millions. So much larger, right? Each of our cash flows was only 10, 20, 25 million. But now this one's so much bigger because we're taking all future cash flows into account and discounting them back to figure out what it's worth here. Okay, so this 367.86, we will add that to the 25 million, discount it back to today. All right, so you'll do each one of these and add it up. Sorry. Okay, so add each of these up, discount them back, erase the top just to get a little more room. Okay, so this first cash flow is 10 million. We want the present value today. You can solve this using time value of money keys. You can just plug it into the formula, however you want to solve here. But remember, it's going to equal the future value, so 10 million divided by divided by 1 plus your rate, 10%, raised to the t power. So that's how many time periods you're discounting back. That's just 1 here. Do the same thing for the 20 million. Everything stays the same there, except our future cash flow now is 20 million, and the time periods we're discounting back is 2. And then the third, we'll discount both of these back together. Your terminal value and your 25 million, you'll add both of those together and discount that back. So you add that together, you should get $392.86. I think, check my math on that. 0.10 to the third. Okay. So you'll discount each one of these back. You're going to get a different present value for each amount. Add all of these up. So you'll find the sum. All right? Once you do that, the sum of each of these, I got 320, 779, 188.6 million. Okay? So this calculation that you just saw, this is called the enterprise value. All right, so that's what the whole firm is worth today in terms of all future free cash flows. So we're almost there, but now to figure out a stock price to compare it to something that you'll have data on for today or to another company, you'll take this enterprise value and subtract out any debt or preferred stock that they may have. So for example, maybe they have 100 million in debt and preferred stock. All right, so you'll subtract out this 100 million, okay? 220, 779, 188.6. Now this is called your market value of equity. So once you have this, we're still almost there. Market value of equity, still a big number, 220 million. We're saying that's what the firm is worth today once you take out debt and preferred stock. That's what their equity is worth. Well, now maybe they have 10 million shares of common stock. This all would be given. This debt and preferred stock and the number of shares would be given. So let's say they have 10 million shares of common stock outstanding. You would divide this 220 divided by 10 million shares, and that's going to give you 22.0779. And this is dollars. So that's $22 per share. Okay? So once you calculate that, now you have an actual share price. A little over $22 per share. You could compare that to their actual share price. What is it trading at today? Figure out, is the firm overvalued, undervalued, or correctly valued, okay? So again, this is called the corporate valuation model. It's an alternative to the dividend discount model. It's widely used. It's easier to calculate. Calculations are a little more in depth, but you don't have to pay a dividend as a company. You don't have to have paid a dividend for a long time to estimate a growth rate. So that's it. That's how you calculate this. Work through these numbers, see if you get the same answer I came out to. It may be slightly off due to rounding, but as long as you understand the logic and see how we did this, you should be okay. All right, good luck. Email me if you have questions with that. That's the last video for chapter 9, so no other new material here. And you'll have your test on Wednesday. Let me know if you have questions, and see you soon.